We had a meeting on June 7th at the Board of tonight. We had a presentation from Keith Gertner about raise. We talked about the after-school program and that did not have money in the contract to hire these kids. We talked about preschool curriculum, its strengths, the early childhood, combining the two tracks that we've done, and we're looking to move forward to meet what's required for next year. And we talked to about a GED program that presently is not at the high school, and we didn't want to make it a primary route for Lakewood, but it's available outside of the school district within the counties. There's another one I had, but I bet you do it.
Okay. If there's no other committee reports, what I'd like to do is, first, Gus is here. I'd like Gus to give a brief 5-minute report on busing.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Fink. What you have in front of you right now is a synopsis of what we have just gone through recently with two of our bus companies regarding them assessing us as they are entitled to under administrative code additional mileage charges for routes that have exceeded the mileage from what they originally contracted for. As you'll see in your report, it's something very rare. Most companies don't do this because besides it being an additional mileage charge, if the routes go under mileage, in other words, less mileage than originally intended, then the board can actually take money back from the contractors. So it's not a one-way street. In this situation, they have requested X amount of dollars from us, and as you can see from the report, they are looking for, just change it, just find that
On
page.
page 2, number 3.
Okay, so they are requesting, STA is looking for an additional $52,351, and Durham is looking for an additional $48,200 for additional mileage that they incurred last year. It should be noted that the way this additional mileage was incurred was by filling empty seats on routes that had pre-existed, that were running very light. And as I told the board very early in the school year, I had done that intentionally so that we could take advantage of the efficiencies that you can gain by filling empty seats. So although we're going to be paying nearly $100,000 in additional mileage charges, we saved in excess of $1 million on routes that we would have had to have had we used the old formula of having very light loads and very short routes.
What was the extra mile? How much of a mile?
It is on their printout.
If I'm reading this right, 0.2 of a mile will be charged back. How much?
Yes, so there are times when they're charging us for 0.2 of an additional mile. Sometimes there were additional 2 or 3 miles. But as you can see from the charts, but the charts don't give you the clear picture by route because it's done by contract, multi-contract for bids. But on an average, they were looking for in the neighborhood of about $200 or $300 a route, depending on the number of routes that they had. I think it's important for the board to note, when I spoke to the Department of Education, they said it was highly unusual for bus companies, as a matter of fact, they said they've never seen it done before, to have a bus company charge for tenths of a route, tenths of a mile. This routing mileage information was done to protect bus companies from school boards giving a bus driver on one side of town, one child on another side of town, and the bus company not having any recourse. I think what you see here is, I think the two bus companies named have taken advantage of that situation. I'm happy to report to the board that I have worked with the Department of Education, and we have new language now in our contracts going forward for all contracts, renewals and new bids, that will require a 5-mile kick-in clause. What that simply means is the route will have to change by at least 5 miles, which would be very rare, especially in a town the size and density of Lakewood. 5 miles would have to be achieved additional before this language would kick in. So we're virtually eliminating that clause.
And just for the public's knowledge, these two bus companies currently have 98% of the public school routes?
That is correct, and it's our intention, we are bidding out all that work. We will have that done within the next few days, and we're hoping to see some very aggressive bidding, and we're hoping to save some additional money in that respect as well.
How much money do you think will be saved with the new bids?
You know, I like to
estimate.
You know, I like to be conservative, so I will say I'm hoping to see about $500,000 in savings.
Great. Thank you very much. All right. We're going to make a minor change in tonight's schedule due to some board members having other commitments for tonight. We're going to vote on the agenda, and then we'll have the public session. We will have a quorum through the night, so whoever signed up will have time to speak, but there are some changes that we want to bring to the public first. So we'll proceed with them.
First, I'd like to go over the changes to the agenda. Starting with page 4, letter C. The new bill list is $3,825,439.85. The next item is on page 12, letter C. The correct person should be Anthony Estrelli as the termination. The next item is page 14, Laura Fleming. It's reversed. She's leaving OSS, going to SSS, from Oak Street to Spruce Street. Next page is 17. For the appointments, letter F. The top of the page, it should read that she is being appointed Masters plus 30. The correct salary amount is $113,245. And letter 2, Courtney Hebe is to be removed. The next change is page 20. We have to add Rena Brown to the substitute list. Page 29, number 5, Gail Haig. The correct salary is step 15, $28,504. And I also have some addendums to read.
Folks, please quiet down when the addendums are in. Thank you.
Addendum number 1, approve the creation, configuration, and operation of the following neighborhood schools. Kindergarten and first grade at Spruce Street School. Grade 1 to 6, Clifton Avenue School. for neighborhood enrollment. Grade 1 to 6 at L.G. Clark School, neighborhood enrollment. Grade 2 to 6 at Oak Street School, neighborhood enrollment. Addendum number 2 is approval of the new organizational chart for the 2012-2013 school year. Addendum number 3 is the salary adjustment for Rosemary Frazier from $60,000 to $72,000, effective July 9th through June 30th, 2013. Addendum number 4 is the transfer of Omega Sigui, Secretary Oak Street to District Office, replacement for Linda Montagna, effective July 9th, salary $29,671. Addendum number 5 is a transfer of Rosemary Caracari, Secretary District Office to Secretary L.G. Clark School, replacing Sue Horan, who's retired, effective July 9th. Addendum number 6 is the termination of Rosa Brew, Principal L.G. Clark School, effective July 5th. Addendum number 7 is the appointment of Ebony Rivera, Assistant Principal, Lakewood Middle School, to interim principal, L.G. Clark School. Salary $113,565, effective July 9th, and terminating to be determined. Addendum number 8 is the award of the bid for kosher meals for preschool to Cafe on Clifton LLC. Breakfast is $1.82, snacks 61 cents, and lunch $2.85. Addendum number 9 is a transfer from Materia Toller, teacher from Spruce Street School to Clifton Avenue School for the coming school year. Addendum number 10 is regarding the IDEA SSP program and NPSSP program. Be it resolved that the Lakewood Township Board of Education approves a contract with Catapult Learning, LLC, to provide for preschool disabled classes and kindergarten for 9 preschool disabled classes and 3 kindergarten classes in the non-public supplemental service program for a total amount not to exceed $1,600,000, subject to the terms of the contract to be executed by the board president in a form satisfactory to the board council. Addendum number 11 is a resolution regarding the Supplemental Resource Center program for non-public schools. Be it resolved that the Lakewood Township Board of Education approves requirement contract with the following vendors to provide services to a portion of the eligible non-public school students assigned to the Supplemental Resource Center program as allocated by the board for a contract amount based upon the actual cost of the services for a total amount not to exceed $6,000 per student, subject to receipt of the funding and subject to the terms of contract to be executed by the board president. And it should go to Advanced Education Advertising Company, Learn It, Tree of Knowledge, and Catapult. Addendum number 12 is the appointment of Elisa Cosin Hamlin as teacher in Lakewood High School, Evelyn Menacci at LDTC Preschool, and Peter Stern School Psychologist Preschool. Addendum number 13 is a stipend for Shane Schloss, non-public community liaison, salary $25 per hour, not to exceed 30 hours per month, effective July 9th through August 31st. This is pending 192, 193 grant funding. Okay. Addendum number 14 is approved non-public schools to choose a different vendor if they so choose for speech services under the non-public chapter 193. Could I have a motion for the business administrator's recommendations, the transfers?
Motion to approve, based on.
Through page 9.
Okay.
Seconded.
Roll call.
Mr. Munn?
Yes.
Mr. Schwartz?
Yes.
Mr. Silver?
Yes.
Mr. Tiff?
Are we voting on the addendums as well?
No, just the business.
Yes.
Mr. Zlatkin?
Yes.
Mr. Seiler? Yes. Mr. Fink?
Yes.
Business agenda passes. I'd like a motion to approve the superintendent's recommendations, page 9 through page 37.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Munn?
Yes.
Mr. Schwartz?
Yes.
Mr. Silver?
Yes.
Mr. Tiff?
Yes.
Mr. Zlatkin?
Yes.
Mr. Seiler?
Yes.
Mr. Fink?
Yes.
Superintendent agenda passes.
Motion to approve addendums 1 through 14.
One second.
Can nobody public can't speak yet about the addendum?
I'm sorry?
Can the public speak about the addendum so we can?
No, not yet until we vote.
We can't ask why you're gonna vote yes or no on it?
We already commented on that.
It makes much more sense we can present our objection before you do something, not after it's already a done deal.
Okay, thank you. Roll call.
Second.
Addendums.
Do all the addendums together?
Mr. Munn?
Yes.
Mr. Schwartz?
Do all of them?
No, you didn't say no.
Whatever you want.
Hold on one second. Yes to everything except for 8.
Mr. Silver? Mr. Tiff?
No to number 8, and no to number 5.
Mr. Zlatkin?
There's no discussion, right? Yes.
Mr. Seiler?
No to number 13, yes to everything else.
Mr. Fink?
Yes.
Addendum is passed.
Before we go to the public portion, would you like to have everything here? Before we go to the public portion, would you like to have everything say something?
Yes, if Ebony Rivera can come up.
Ebony, congratulations.
I would like to thank everyone for their applause. I am overjoyed and excited. I consider this opportunity to be an honor and a privilege. I am Lakewood born and bred. I'm a Lakewood native. I matriculated through the Lakewood school system, and I'm a product of what Lakewood produces.
We have the new assistant principal at Lakewood High School, Benita Garnett.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you to Lakewood Board of Education. I am so excited right now. And I promise you, I will work very hard for our students. I came to this country when I was 15 years old. I was a bilingual student. I worked 2 jobs. I had parents that worked 2 jobs. At one point in my life, I was one of the students at a high school. And I know what the kids go through. And I know it can be done. I found teachers that believed in me. I found administrators that believed in me. And they helped me to go to college. And that's my commitment to the students.
Thank you very much. Congratulations. Public portion? Dr. Michael Hoban.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Dr. Michael Hoban. I reside at 27 Rosewood Drive. Approximately 10 days ago, on June 26th, I sent to the board and to other members in the community what I labeled a discussion paper. And the discussion paper was based on an article, an online article that mentioned various sorts of financial information from the state report card, as well as an interpretation of that information from the New Jersey School Boards Association. In the paper that I submitted to the board for its consideration, I raised a number of questions which seem to me to be raised by those numbers. Now, those questions were primarily in the area of transportation and special education. However, as I believe I made a point in the paper, those are not just the only 2 areas that many of us in the community have questions about. And so, as part of the discussion paper that I submitted to the board, I requested that the board consider putting together a task force whose main purpose would be to assist the board in communicating with the community. Now, what I have in mind, as we all know, I think, there are a certain number of perceptions within the community, in the senior community, as well as, I think, the community at large. Perceptions, some of which may be accurate, and some of which may be inaccurate. One reason why we don't know whether they're accurate or inaccurate is because the appropriate information has not been disseminated properly to the public. Now, that's just my view, of course, and it's debatable, I assume. What I am asking the board to seriously consider is putting together a, what I will call an objective panel, a task force, hopefully of people who do not have too many agendas of their own, who can do 3 things. The first task of this task force would be to get from the community those questions to which the community would like better answers. Secondly, having assembled those questions, the task force would then go and get the information to answer those questions. And then the third thing the task force would do would be to disseminate that information in an appropriate manner or manners to as broad a base in our community as is possible. The reason why I think this is essential is that there is a perception, rightly or wrongly, throughout the community that enough information is not being disseminated. The board itself has too much on its plate for us to expect you to, in addition to everything else you have to do, to be able to do the task that I am suggesting. And that's why I'm suggesting we need a quote, independent task force made up of people who are willing to do this job and can do the job and will disseminate the appropriate information to the community so that many of these questions that have been floating around for a number of years can finally be answered. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hopday?
You'd like to comment?
Oh, no.
You're the ad hoc committee, feel free.
Yeah,
Oh, just-
I'm sorry.
Bill, hold on
Mr.
one
Hoppe.
second, please. The ad hoc committee would like to.
I just want to make a comment as the chairman of the ad.
Mr. Hovind,
Yeah, I just want to comment as chairman of the ad hoc committee, which sounds similar to what you requested in the form of a task force.
Yes.
I'm willing to take that concept, which is something that we want to do all along, and create that task force under the ad hoc committee. So if you'd like to meet with me personally on this, I'd like to further take this discussion further.
Okay, I think that's a very possible way to proceed, and we should examine that.
Mr. Hovind, it's very open, we know each other, Mr. Hovind, we know each other. And I think what the ad hoc committee would welcome if you and Mr. Hovind, along with Tracy and Joel, sat down, in our offices here and reviewed exactly what you're talking about.
Thank you, I think that would be a good start.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hopday?
Thank you. I think that the task force is a magnificent idea. And I would even go and say, how about a call for papers? There are a lot of people that have a lot of input to add to this. And all of the viewpoints and objectives of, as long as it's positive, and it's for the children of the Lakewood School District, that's good. I think the task force should read them all, analyze them all, go through all those questions, and we have a very positive report back working with this Board of Education, because you're in a position now that you can't do everything. You've got to concentrate on keeping the stabilization going, getting all the things in place, and you have to have a feed of information, but you can't get that and spend all that time getting it yourself. Now, I'd like to ask about, has this board considered talking about or discussing moving the elections to November for the 2013 term? I think that you will have until September of next year to make that decision, but at least I hope that you're starting to talk about it now. What's the upside, what's the downside? But I think that would allow us to join all the other school districts that are doing that. And if it's not on an agenda, you should at least try to discuss it and determine whether this board thinks that that's appropriate for Lakewood Township. I also think Mr. Fink has talked about a few times, a mentors program. There are many students in the school district that could use mentoring and some kind of assistance with either language or math, arts, or science, the things that ex-teachers are so good at. Now, we're gifted because we have an awful lot of retired teachers in all the communities of Lakewood. And I think that this would be magic. If the board is thinking about something along that line, I think that that's magnificent to be willing to help anybody possible. The teacher's contract. I read a month or so ago that the teacher's contract was coming down to the nitty-gritty. I even saw one report that had been approved. Where do you stand on that? Are we still in negotiations, or?
We'll refer that to the attorney, please.
There has been an agreement between the board negotiating committee and the association negotiating committee. I believe, and I would have to double check with my partner, Mr. Brand, but I believe that they are up to the point of working on salary guides. There will then be a concrete and formal contract to be approved by the association and the board. But the hard economics of the contract.
I understand. Please keep in mind, that's your greatest asset for stabilization. They're here every day. They see what's going on in the district. They understand their students. They do all that they can. And now, quite frankly, they need you.
I think that the board is proud of the fact, and I am proud of the fact that between the 20, whatever it was, of April when this board organized and whenever it was in May, that agreement was reached, or early June rather, that agreement was reached, that the board was able to achieve and accomplish peace and in a dignified way, in a respectful way, that hadn't been achieved for 2 years before that.
Excellent.
And Bill, the other answer to your previous question was, last year when everyone was saying that the elections in April will cost $30,000, in fact, it cost us $60,000. And this board is very aware of that, and I'm sure this board will take action on that before September.
And yes, we have been talking about it.
Yes.
Is it February?
Before February.
Yeah.
Great.
I missed it.
This year's election.
Right, this for next. Right. And my last and final issue, busing. Gus continues to amaze me. We are so blessed to have him in this district to help arrange that busing schedule, which has got to be so difficult, so demanding, and I keep on hearing progress, progress, progress. That's magnificent. You're all doing a wonderful job. Keep up the good work. Work hard. These children deserve it. Thank you.
Miss Annette Crony.
Good evening. I just want to go back to the redistricting part. I thought I heard, and maybe you can clarify if I'm correct or wrong, that Clarksville would be 1 to 6, Clifton would be 1 to 6, Oak will now be 2 to 6, and Spruce Street would be K to 1. Was that correct? And if so, what happened to the preschoolers who were supposed to go to Spruce Street? Are we now keeping them where they are? What's the plan for the preschool? In addition to that, with the new redistricting, what is the estimated class sizes in each building, excluding special ed classes? And I want to just go back, and I think the last time you referred to the attorney, so whoever can answer, where are we at on the status of the superintendent search now that we are in July?
Let me take that part first, if that part's easy. The New Jersey School Board Association is conducting that search. We understand that they have received all the applications that they're going to receive because the time for submission has been closed. They're now doing their paper screening and will, within the next couple of weeks, probably before the next board meeting, be presenting a relatively shorter list of names to the board so that the board can begin consideration of the interview. So it's moving.
Okay, preschool students will be staying exactly where they are, campers 1, 2, and 3. Class size, our goal is to have 25 students in every classroom. The principals are currently still working on classroom assignments, so I don't have the exact numbers right now.
But the goal is 25, is the average?
Yes, we said.
There was just one more question that I had. Where are we at on the middle school roof repair also? And when is that starting? When is the date of completion, anticipated date of completion?
We'll give it to you right now, because we have it down. Arlene, please.
We are taking bids opening on July 24th and hopefully awarding it on July 26th, and we can have a special board meeting. and they will start as soon as they can.
It will take, we
About
figure,
3 months.
90 days to have a group complete. And that's our target, though. It will be October.
Good enough, thanks.
You will. Thank you very much.
Mr. Gertner.
Mr. Gertner.
Keith Gertner, 141 Devon Court, Little Lakewood, New Jersey, 08701. Ms. Annette actually took most of my questions, which I guess was kind of nice of her. But with respect to the grade reconfiguration, again, one of my questions is, and I've gone over this, I think, ad nauseum, there's no study, every study that shows and every researcher shows, that doesn't address the core issues that create failings in schools. So, one, with the fact that, and I didn't see it on any agenda, so I wasn't even aware that you guys were all of a sudden switching it from pre-K to K to K to 1. My first question is, what kind of research are you doing to show that this is the way that we should move? Because if you keep jumping all the time, it kind of at least gives the impression that you're not even sure what you're doing. And the other thing is, well, actually, if you could answer that first, where's the research in all of this?
Laura?
Very basic. The research shows that if every student is on grade level by third grade, he has a much higher chance of success in reading. So we're going to take all of our energy and place it into the K-2 right now. So the whole idea of having the kindergarten building was to really put all the supports, giving interventionists, give literacy coaches. We're actually going to even put in a response to intervention program, a response to intervention speech therapists to really hit our students at a younger age.
So you're doing a forced effort on that K-2 area, is that, or K-1 area, is that what you're saying?
According to the state, we've been meeting with the state, and they're telling us if we don't catch them by the end of the second grade, we lost them.
So, yeah, so that's what I'm trying to say. So you're putting them all in one school
Can I
and forgetting
finish?
about the rest? Is that?
Can I finish?
Yeah, you can.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
What we're trying to do is change Lakewood. And of course, it needs, you've been here a long time. You come to every meeting. You come to every meeting. So our goal, and if we, our 3-tier step, and you know, you probably have some negative comments with this, which is fine. Next year is to change the middle school to 6th, 7th, and 8th, which like every other school does, district has. And our third goal is to build a new school. Now, our goal, and it's a goal, is to either build a new elementary school or build a new middle school. And we have had preliminary talks, and the union is aware of this. And we are trying to do everything within our realm to change Lakewood around. And you know what? Change is good. So you got to jump on the bandwagon.
I never said change wasn't good, because obviously we helped put a couple new people into positions here. And that being said, we would have hoped they would have been more responsive to some of the things we asked for, one of which was never grade reconfiguration. That being said, you know, if you're putting all this effort in just this one school, what are you doing with the rest of the kids? Are you saying we're just going to work with these younger kids first? I'm confused with that.
Absolutely not. All the schools will have the same support. We're going to have a response intervention program for all the schools, all K to 8. We're just putting a concerted effort into the kindergarten, which they haven't had in many years.
Well, the whole school district hasn't had a concerted effort in many years, so.
Actually, the whole school.
I mean,
Don't mind.
you know. And my last thing, so what efforts are you really putting forth to meet the actual causes of what's caused Lakewood to become failing, particularly in the areas of governance and curriculum? Because you could have kept the schools K to 6 and still fix the curriculum, still fix the governance issues, and still provide it in a better way for the kids that met more of what the community needs.
Thank you, Mr. Gertner, your time is up.
Sorry about that.
Thank you.
So no answer to my question?
What we're trying to do is, we hit the high school with the vocational training classes. we looked at the K-8 as a school district, the high school as a school district. We're attempting, after having many meetings with the state, to emphasize improving the early childhood quickly. Change the curriculum. The whole school is a kindergarten. There's a lot of capability for interchange within that group. That, you know, we're only here 4 months.
No, which is another reason why I'm confused with the quick effort to change a whole grade, grade.
Because
There's a quick effort to change the schools because they've been failing. They've been failing for a long time, and the public doesn't want change. And you're here, and you don't want change.
I never said I didn't want change.
Okay, time's up. Next.
I also, when we met with them, the first test that is critical is in the 3rd grade.
Yeah.
All right? You cannot implement it in the 3rd grade to affect it. It has to take 3 to 5 years of a change in culture. To do that, you have to start at that kindergarten class. We're looking at each of them, and we're working our way through the whole school. But that's why kindergarten was placed as an emphasis right now.
At least I understand.
Because once you get the 3rd grade on par, it's going to flow up through the 8th, the 10th, and the 12th. And you will improve the performance of the district by doing that.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Mrs. Jackson? Mrs. Jackson? Mrs. Jackson?
Good evening, Mary Jane Jackson, 271 Short Park Road, here in Lakewood. Just a few questions. At one of the last meetings we were at, we talked a lot about neighborhood schools. And my question is, within 2 or 3 mile radius, how many students will no longer be bused to like neighborhood schools and so forth? And I remember Gus initially said at the recent HOC meeting, approximately 150. Is that true, or would there be more or less, or do you know? And are neighborhood schools only for the public school or the entire town, for all the students in town? If so, or if not, why isn't it for the non-public as well as the public? 2 questions. Especially since Mr. Seifert pointed out that the state recommended in the Spruce Street schools, the latest capital report, many of the Lakewood schools are in an overcrowded state. It is recommended that the district investigate a redistricting plan that will allow children to attend neighborhood schools, to reduce transportation costs and reduce the kindergarten class size, and ideally improve the educational performance of the students. And is this what we are standing with? And again, is it just for the public schools or public and non-public?
So the answer is that we can't dictate to a private school parent where to put their kid. We can only dictate that to a public school parent. The private school parent has the right to put their kid in any school that they so choose. We can't say you have to go to X, Y, and Z school. That's the idea of them choosing a private school. They're paying for it, so we can't really tell where to go.
I thought the public was paying for it.
The public paying for the private school?
Is it a private school or a non-public school?
Non-public means private.
No, we pay for bus.
We pay for busing for all private school children. It's just another word for private school.
That's that is true in every school district in New Jersey. In every school district, the district either provides transportation for the non-public school students or writes those parents a check only the transportation. It's a state law.
That goes for any non-public school, a private school. It doesn't make a difference what denomination it is.
somebody goes to Catholic school, they choose that school, they
That's correct.
board and they go there. All we do is supply the buses wherever the school goes. But that's
Why
the nature of a
why is it that the public schools do not have a choice of what school their children go to?
If they choose to go to a private school, they can also. And all, a public school student can choose to go to a private school.
Now, the rest of
No, she's asking,
Can I just dig in something here? In a public school, you choose to go to the public school, and then the superintendent can decide which school within the public system you go to. You can just choose to go to a public school, but each one, the entire public school system is one entity. Whereas a private school, each school is a separate entity. I think that.
Okay, can I help out here? Every, not all public school districts operate the same way. In some public school districts, very few, but in some, there is open enrollment, so that students can go to any school in the district. In most public school districts, the students go to the school to which their home is districted. So the town, think of a map of the town, think of it divided into various quadrants, each serving a particular school. That's the norm. Some districts have what are called magnet schools, so that a particular school will concentrate in the arts or another in science. But this is a local district decision made by the superintendent of the Board of Education differently in each district. There's no right or wrong here.
Okay, if I might also ask, as far as the superintendent search is concerned.
You're actually well over 400.
Okay, just one more question, but what is the status on the superintendent? All right, thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Najee Williams.
It's pronounced Najee.
I'm sorry. Najee.
First thing I want to make mention, I want to know if anyone has considered possibly changing the fact that we observe Columbus Day and not Veterans Day. As a United States veteran, I would like to see that change implemented if anyone ever gives it consideration.
To change.
Second point, I'm kind of, I'm sitting in my seat and I'm really getting upset. Sometimes when I feel like this, I need to walk out the room, but I can't. In all due respect, Carl, Tracy, Jonathan, Seidler, Joe, Lee, Isaac, Steve. My son is going into the first grade, and I want to know which one of you will sit with me privately when your changes don't go as planned. That's the first thing I want to know. Which one of you are man enough to sit with me privately and explain to me why I'm unhappy about the education that my son is getting? Because Ms. Winters can tell you, I pay out of pocket right now, and I pay property taxes. So, Carl, let me speak. Now, I'm glad you're happy to be here, but let me tell you something. When you immigrated, thank God you didn't land at Lakewood, because they don't believe that these immigrant children can go to college. As you heard these speak, vocational program, worker class program. So if you plan to come here and do some changing, you're gonna have to change the ideas in the mind of the people that's sitting here and sitting there. Ebony,
Yes, sir.
you know I respect you, but I'm not gonna allow them to keep on shoveling us dog bones and cookies and think we're gonna shut up. I'm not for this. I'm not for the smoke and mirrors. you sit here with a smug look on your face with Mr. Seitler and think this is funny. It's not funny for me. These are my children. And I'll be damned if I let y'all fuck with my children. Now, we sat here, I sat in the ad hoc committee. I've done a lot of things. I've sat back and held my tongue on a lot of things. And what you guys did was simply give us smoke and mirrors. I want to know how you feel, Tracy, to walk out of here believing one thing and to come back the next day and see things totally differently done. And you sit there, we share the same plight. I have a child that has to go to Central Regional, wakes up 4:30 in the morning to get to Central Regional. Listen, play with me and my children. And I swear to you, that'll be the last thing you do for Lakewood District.
Good job.